Take a trip with us to Nilbog. Just promise not to drink the goo.
Oh my God!
If you get sucked into the Matrix, we will send a phone for you.
Do you believe in fate?
But every movie has a plot hole, and every hole gets filled somehow with whiskey, wine, or blue milk. Just don't cut me off right now. We're the Plotaholics, a breakfast club of two. We're the Plotaholics, ripping plots apart for you.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Plotaholics podcast. I'm Shane Wilson, and I'm joined, as always, by the very threatening cover model, Brian Tan.
Oh man! Oh, not anymore.
You're
Not
scaring
anymore.
me into reading books there, Mr. Tan.
Well, hey, if that
I
helps.
mean, that I feel like is a good thing.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
But no, that's been adjusted.
Okay. All right.
That whole situation has been adjusted.
All right. Okay. Good.
You can get my my new works, The Enforcer and the Hunted, re-released with new cover art today. Now, and
Nice. Oh, wow.
Yeah, an ebook and paperback formats.
All
yeah.
right. Well, congratulations on the re-release. Did you find a new home, or did you just?
No, I'm done. I am never dealing with publishers again. Ever,
Mhm.
ever again. Like, not unless they got a check at the very beginning that
Yeah.
says, hey, here is your advance. This is yours.
Yeah.
Too many situations of things not working out, things not coming about, and this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
No, never dealing with publishers again. Ever.
Got it.
You
Yeah.
you either don't get promoted the way that you should or like others, or we're just gonna leave it at that. I don't want to throw I want to be a classy one and not throw stones.
Yes. Mr. Tan, this week we continue our month-long exploration of comedians not being funny.
That sounds so mean. That sounds so mean.
It does. It's not the best way to say what we're doing, but
these are comedians or comedic actors in dramatic roles.
Yes. Which you would think would actually be funnier than it is.
It's really not. But the one thing that's hilarious is that you know how you can't take the comedy out of the person, because in each of these movies that we have watched so far, you can see a lot of the behaviors that make these people funny. In Reign Over Me, Adam Sandler, yelling and facial expressions, because that's a lot of the things that people say makes him funny.
Yeah.
It's just that he's in a normal state. He's not animated. Or Jim Carrey, I think Jim Carrey in Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is the only real exception, because he's not
doing anything funny in that movie.
He's not doing anything funny or physical. He doesn't
other than that scene where he's like under the
a
table.
baby. Yeah, that's the only part.
Now, I'll say this, there's a very fine line between laughter and crying, right?
Yeah. Thin line between love and hate, thin line between laughter and sadness. Yeah.
So, it's not the stretch maybe that we think it is. Like, it seems like these things are at opposite ends of the spectrum, but
Right.
but I'm not 100% sure that that's the case.
No, I agree.
Now,
do I sound okay to you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Is it not saying that you are?
No, it's just I sound different. It's like I can hear myself. I don't know.
Well, no, I mean, you sound different. You sound great.
Okay, cool.
There's like less noise, right? Like less air.
All right, cool. Yeah, because I have the soundproof box back up.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
maybe
yeah.
that's
Well,
what.
I was gonna say that like this is a very like so the last 2 weeks we got like really sort of in the weeds with these two characters and their psychology.
Mhm.
And this film is not quite like that. This film is, and we'll do that again next week, actually. Like, so 3 of our 4 are very sort of like psychological drama,
Right.
right?
Where this one isn't. This is like this is a family drama kind of.
It
This
is.
is
It's a family drama. It's a historical drama in a lot of ways, right?
it's based
Uh,
off of a memoir.
right. So it's based on a true story. Like,
Oh,
there's a lot of things that make this a little bit different.
well, the one thing that what's funny about our advertised content this week, Mr. Church, is when I put this on, Sharon watched this one with me, and she
Mhm.
goes, "Have we watched this before?" I said, "We might have in like the earlier days of the relationship."
Yeah.
And then she's like, "Is this kind of like Driving Miss Daisy?" And I'm like, "But with cooking."
Honestly, it is a lot like Driving Miss Daisy, but with cooking.
Right. So, but the one thing that's especially different, and you already touched on this, so we might as well just rip the band-aid off, is that we're not getting a full character profile of Mr. Church. He is
Right.
secretive. He
He's not our
leads,
point of view character, which
no,
is
he's really not.
different from the other 3, right?
Right. He's not our point of view character, and he leads separate lives. And he
Mhm.
keeps all of those lives separate from each other.
And we never really get a very clear picture of the second one at all.
No.
We get glimpses, of course, but we
Right.
don't really. She never shows up at Jelly's.
No, that was
You know?
smart.
Right. Yeah.
That was kind of, well, for one, I'm sorry, you be the that would go over almost like in Adventures in Babysitting.
Oh, right.
Like that's
Yeah.
exactly what it would seem like, and no, that wouldn't work out. I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
Mr. Church would flip.
So slice us off a little of that tenopsis, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Charlotte Brooks awakens one morning during her 10th rotation around the planet to discover something off, like a black man in the kitchen. In other words, cooking. Realizing that
I thought
no.
and then I thought you said cocaine. And then I mean the energy drink for sure, but not quite cocaine.
Not yet.
No, we haven't graduated that far.
Yeah, an hour and a half earlier, maybe. So, all right, so I'm gonna start again. So Charlotte Brooks, on her 10th rotation around the planet, wakes up one morning to discover a very odd sight: a black man in the kitchen cooking. What turns out to be a surprise turns into a lifelong companionship that transcends race, illness, and generations. Today, we talk Mr. Church.
Indeed.
That's the way I'm going to start doing. That's the way I'm going to start ending all of my synopsises.
Today we talk.
Today we discuss. I'm trying to find the thing.
Yeah. No, I like it. Yeah. So we have Charlie Brooks, age 10, her mother Marie,
who is the little connection to Jim Carrey, played Jim Carrey's love interest in The Truman Show.
Right. Also, in this film, Marie is a single mother.
Yep, had her daughter Charlie out of wedlock, and I love the way she talks about it when Charlie goes, "Well, what was the mistake?" No, your dad was the mistake.
Right? Yeah.
Like that is awesome.
Yeah,
that is cool. But yeah, Marie. So she has Charlie, falls in love with a guy that she doesn't know is married.
Yeah.
And when she finds out that he's married, she breaks it off. But he's rich, still loves her, and makes the decision to take care of her and her daughter for the rest of her life because Marie has breast cancer.
Right. Yes. And there's this really like poignant scene like early on. We're going to get into the performances and everything, but but whenever she's talking with Mr. Church about like how Dick Cannon has prepared to like
all the arrangements.
all the arrangements and everything for 6 months. And she's like, well, how much does 6 months of my life worth? Right. Like, how much is it? Like, that's such an interesting question because, like, how does he know what that's going to cost? You know what I mean? Like, he's just guessing.
I think what he did, I think what
Sure.
what he must have done is, he was a rich guy. He had them, this was back when rich people had the power to do anything. Huh. Anyway. Right. So he probably went through, he probably had like a budget planned out and a certain amount of money and blah, blah, blah. Because Mr. Church is a shrewd guy. That's the one thing that I really like about this portrayal. It's not like he's some simple Simon.
Yeah.
He's a smart man.
Yeah.
Even in, we referenced Driving Miss Daisy with food. Hoke acts very kind of, for lack of a better term, I want to say he acts like the safe older black guy, where he's not projecting too much intelligence. He's not projecting boundaries until he's well into the relationship with Miss Daisy.
Yeah.
And even still, that was years and years, right?
Yeah.
No, this is Mr. Church is a guy. He walks right in and he's just like, look, this is what I'm getting paid to do. And this is the way it's going to be.
Yeah.
And he doesn't falter from that. And I really appreciate this portrayal.
Yeah. And he, as long as he was on the payroll, was very professional and very, like, but
always referred to her as ma'am.
Also became like something of a father figure, right? Like,
yeah, they became a family. They became a family,
There's this really great line also. This is later in the film whenever Charlie has Izzy. She says, I was a mother and Mr. Church was everything else. Like, that's what a great line.
Really. And it goes to show, number one, the one thing that I appreciate about this movie, let's just get this out of the way. Okay. Mothers, single parents do amazing jobs.
Sure.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. I was raised by a single mother, but having a partner in parenting makes it so much easier. Now, a child can be perfectly everything with a single parent. No denying that. But when that parent has a partner, whether it be a spouse or a friend or a black cook or a cook of any race that they value as a human being, the child is going to be so much better, is going to be good off as well. It's a matter of the love that the child is receiving, the love and the support that the child is receiving.
Well, and the time, because there's only so much time that any single person can devote to any single thing.
Absolutely. Because even Mr. Church even says at one point, my dear, you have me from when you wake up until the evening. Anytime between that is mine.
Yeah.
So
I appreciate, because boundaries are also important.
Absolutely. And I really like how he does that. Even when he's talking to Marie and she's trying to come up with all the ways that blah, blah, blah. And he's like, listen, this is what this man paid me to do. He paid me to take care of you. And that's what I'm going to do.
Right. Yeah. And, okay. So good on this guy who did this without permission or whatever.
Good on Dick. I mean, granted, he could have apparently he made arrangements with Marie before he died. Hey, I'm going to look after you and Charlie, blah, 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 while you're still alive. And, so good on him for that.
Sure.
And not just springing it on Marie.
Yeah.
Now, Marie should have probably told Charlie, hey, we're going to have some help coming in.
A little prep would have helped probably. First day that she's at school telling everybody about that shit was really funny to me.
Oh yeah, everyone's like, man, I'd love to have a cook. What are you talking about?
Exactly. They're like asking her about all kinds of random stuff, and she just cannot get off of this. Like,
this is really like hashtag white girl first world problems.
For sure.
Charlie, how did you get your homework done? Are you ready for the test? We have a cook. He's black. Don't recall asking, but okay. Hey, Charlie, how was school today? We have a black cook.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool, you've got to cook. Yeah, but did I mention that he was black?
Yeah.
And also a cook and also at my house.
Yeah,
Everybody's
really.
like, I don't see the problem.
Yeah,
Like,
everyone's like, dude, I'd love to have a cook. What are you
yeah,
talking about? Like,
honestly,
she's the one
I would
harping.
love like watching this movie. I'm like, where's my cook at?
Serious. I mean, well, granted, what's funny is that Sharon says at one point, I'd rather just have a laundry and cook and cleaning fairy. I'll handle the cooking. I was like, but I do
That
most
is
of the
fair.
cooking.
That's fair.
I do most of the cooking.
I would. There you go. I honestly, if I could get some magical like person in my house to do any single chore, it would be laundry.
Yeah, if someone sent a Mr. Church to my house and like, hey, I'm here to cook your meal, sir, and it's like, no, I got that, but there's some laundry that needs done. And if you want to just straighten up the house, man, I'd appreciate it.
Right.
You want to play some tonk?
But let's get into I mean the real reason why we're even talking about this, which is Eddie Murphy's portrayal, right?
Eddie Murphy is now, of course, you're too young to remember the Eddie Murphy craze of the 80s, because you came at the later end of the 80s into the 90s.
Well, I would have been too young to have been in his target demo anyway.
Well, I was too, but I'm black, and whenever we have someone of this magnitude, he's ours.
At the 80s, the oldest I would have been was 4. So
right. So there's no way. But I mean, here's the thing with Eddie Murphy, man. Number one, I didn't get to watch him on Saturday Night Live because I've never been a fan of Saturday Night Live.
Right.
But I got to see Eddie Murphy for the first time in 48 Hours.
Okay.
And he was the comic relief. Mm-hmm. Then you get Trading Places. Granted, it's a comedic film. What the hell are you doing, Odette? You started to sound like one of the cats. Okay.
It's fine.
Yeah, she's fine. Everything's fine. She's got a loogie.
Everything's fine.
Everything's fine. Matter of fact, what's it? It's fine. Everything's fine. So then you go to Trading Places, and again, he's the comedy. It's a comedy film, but where Dan Aykroyd is the straight man of that comedy duo, Eddie Murphy is the other side of the coin. Then you get to Beverly Hills Cop, The Golden Child, Harlem Nights, Raw, Delirious. And then, you keep going up. Eddie Murphy was the name, the face in comedy. Everything that Dave Chappelle is now, Eddie Murphy did that first.
Yeah.
And then you go into the 90s and you got, the Nutty Professor, Daddy Daycare. I think Daddy Daycare.
He sort of like softens the image a bit, right?
Right. He sort of softens the image a bit.
Because
but still,
his stand-up from the 80s that made him the big deal.
It doesn't hold up anymore.
It doesn't, but it was also incredibly rugged.
It was very rugged, very raw, and homophobic. Very homophobic.
Right. Yeah, there you go.
But
on a point on it. But
right. But he had to Eddie, I think part of Eddie's decline though was that Eddie was great for the young comedian. You know what I mean? But the problem was that as Eddie got older, the shtick got old. That's just my opinion. As he got a little bit older, he couldn't get away with being the young guy that had all this angst anymore. He couldn't get away with that because sorry, go ahead.
No, and I would only say to that point that I think by the time I discovered Eddie Murphy, I was already sort of like past that myself. And so like I didn't have the patience for his early stuff.
Well, his stand-up I prefer his acting to his stand-up.
Sure.
I don't really like his stand-up anymore.
And I say that like and I did watch SNL, so I did see Eddie Murphy there, and I again didn't find the appeal of him there. And so we've watched a few of his films now, and we have watched a couple.
Is this a
Like
Tic
I've
Tac?
gained a mass. This is at least a tic tac toe.
Okay.
I've gained massive appreciation of Eddie Murphy through our work here that I never had before because my only real experience was like the family friendly stuff, which isn't that great. It's
Yeah.
fine, but it's like nothing special, you know?
I mean,
Um,
well, Daddy Daycare is a very, very cute movie, but again, it's
right,
just
but
a
it's like
cute
but it's
movie.
cute in the same way that a shit ton of other movies are cute, right?
Very
Like,
true. Yep, this is a tic tac toe for Eddie Murphy.
yeah, it is like his to me his family friendly like early 2000s stuff was
Yeah,
just like
unremarkable.
so boilerplate. Like the Nutty
It,
Professor was only interesting because he played all the parts, and even that like didn't really speak to me in any particular way. You know what I mean?
well, Eddie, the reason why the Nutty Professor spoke to me was because everyone said that I looked like Sherman Klump in high school, which still pisses me off.
Right.
But I think part of the reason why it spoke to me was because of the message in it,
Mm-hmm.
which was, you just got to be comfortable with who you are, no matter how you are.
Yeah.
So I think it was the messaging of the Nutty Professor. Now, Nutty Professor 2 was a waste of time. Like,
Sure.
I don't even think I watched. I might, if I have watched Nutty Professor 2, I've watched it in like little bits and pieces here and there.
Yeah.
So I think Eddie Murphy did a smart thing. He took some time off. He had the money. He didn't need to act anymore. He didn't really have to do anything. And then he came back in Dreamgirls, which he
Yeah.
was absolutely amazing in.
And this is what I've sort of like come around to is I think that this guy should not be a comedian. Like I think that his serious work is so much better and so much more endearing than anything I've ever seen him in as a comedian. Now, Life was fine, but
Life is a dramedy.
right,
So
exactly. And so like he's good in spite of Martin Lawrence.
yeah, Martin Lawrence is in that duo. You could put anybody in Martin Lawrence's role in Life.
Yeah,
But you can't put it
those parts.
right. But you can't replace out Eddie Murphy there.
No, exactly. Like Eddie Murphy is incredibly talented.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know that his strength is comedy, which is so strange because that's how he made his money and how he made his name.
And what's funny is that how many times have we said this is the third straight week we're saying something like this now, because I think that Jim Carrey is a great actor when he's not being the animated. Now, I'm not against animated characters or characterization. Chris Farley isn't funny unless he's that over the top, because it's the physical comedy that adds to what he's saying.
Right. Yeah, I never really thought that Chris Farley was particularly a funny person.
Mm-mm. Or you even look at, say, David Spade. David Spade is not a good enough actor to be able to carry a dramatic vehicle.
Right.
At
but
all.
he is a funny person.
But he is a funny person.
Yeah.
But you look at, and even Jim Carrey's role in Kick-Ass 2, he was not being overly funny, but he was still very good in that role.
Right.
But you look at him in Reign Over Me. You look at Adam Sandler in you look at Adam Sandler in Reign Over Me and Punch Drunk Love. You look at Jim Carrey in Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind and what's that movie? Simon Birch.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see Eddie Murphy in this and in Dreamgirls. Mm-hmm. These are guys that are absolutely hilarious in their own right, but they are so much more than just funny. Right. They are so much better in this film, especially.
And we've said this in the past couple of weeks. I would put Steve Carell in that camp.
Absolutely, because we did Crazy Stupid Love last year, or earlier this year.
Which is not even his best serious role.
It's really not. And what's great is that we're waiting for Steve Carell to be Adam Scott, and he's not.
Michael Scott.
Why did I say
Adam Scott? Is the guy from Parks and Rec, who's also a good comedic actor who can play serious very well.
Yes, except I do not ever want him in a Hot Tub Time Machine movie ever again.
No, he didn't belong there.
No, not at all. But the funniest part of Crazy Stupid Love wasn't even Steve Carell delivering the line. It was Ryan Gosling when
Right.
he's like, David Lindhagen. Wow. Like that
Right.
was so good. That is
Yeah.
my favorite part of that movie.
Yes.
So
I
this is
do
another
love I like it when you have a comedian and a serious actor in a role like that together, and the serious actor ends up being the funniest part.
right, exactly. And this is another instance here with Eddie Murphy and Mr. Church. He is so good. Like I understand why this movie is got negative reviews.
Right. Yeah. We were gonna touch on that for sure.
Right, we definitely have to.
Yeah.
But not one of those negative reviews can
It's
say
about
any
his
is
performance.
about his performance. It's about the writing and it's the pacing.
Yeah, and it's about it's the driving Miss Daisy of it all. It's the Green Book of it all. It's the
Right.
like here's a movie about race meant to make white people feel good.
Right. And I will be so glad when we can stop doing that.
Yeah. Like
Like
it's The Help. It's
I'm
it's all of those movies.
well, what's funny about The Help though is that is the best bit of revenge ever. Oh, I mean,
For sure.
it's gross, but it's hilarious. And it makes me feel pretty good because did I ever tell you my vengeance story?
I don't think so.
I'll tell you about it when we're done.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, it is way grosser than my vengeance story. And I had
Right.
someone
Yeah.
tell me, your vengeance, that was completely disgusting and evil. And it's like,
I think that when these movies can stop being from the white character's POV,
it'll be even better.
it'll be way better. Like the interesting story here is not another white girl got knocked up at college. The
Or
interesting story is what is going on with this guy,
right.
Ellie's. Like that's what I want to know.
Or another white girl who, yeah, she's poor, but has privilege has a privilege to have a rich guy provide for her mother and in turn providing for her.
Right.
And of course all she does is sulk. We have a cook. He's black.
Right. Which I believe says a lot about how she's being raised, even if on the surface
her mom isn't like that.
Marie, right. Yeah, Marie isn't like that. Like somebody in her family is like that.
And
maybe it's a cultural thing, maybe it's something at school or whatever, but
I'm hoping that it's more school.
Because I never get that sense from Marie.
No, Marie is just like, all right, Richard's doing this.
Like,
okay, cool.
Be weird about like your house being invaded by a strange man, but don't make it about his race. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly.
I do think that's a cultural thing.
Right. Well, because the thing is, Marie.
So like when she was a child, this is 1971. So that would have still been like
in the time frame.
Fair, sure.
Yeah. Especially, but I mean,
for a kid who goes to school and hears who knows what.
Well, not only that, but I think that also it's the fact, I think with Marie, it was a strange man invading my space. However, he's been vetted by someone that I trust.
Mm-hmm.
So it's okay.
Yeah.
Where Charlie has to take it to that next level. And I think it's more school. Maybe Marie had some microaggressions. Maybe Marie had some microaggressions at some point.
Yeah, that is fair. But the kids at school would be like the ignorant kids. Like, you know what I mean?
Oh, man. I especially love the fact when Poppy is like, I wish I had a cook.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that was the thing is like the reactions that she got from school were by and large like, what's wrong with you? Like, that sounds awesome.
Yeah. Listen here. And she even says before the scene where we introduce her being in school that this private school only takes like a couple charity cases a year. And she's one of them. So all these people are like, look, broke ass girl, you better be appreciative of the things you got. But it's crazy. Now, one thing that I want to talk about at the very, very top, I tend to dislike movies that say based on a true story.
Right. Yeah.
Because What that means is, so we're getting the basis of fact, and we're just totally going to screw with it
Yeah,
to make
like
it more entertaining.
exactly. Like it's. I mean, I haven't read the memoir or the short story or whatever it
Me
is,
neither. I want to see if it's an audio book, because if it is, I do want to get it.
but I mean, I'm sure that like this guy like lived with this family for this long and etc.
Well, this is courtesy of the Hollywood Reporter. Susan McMartin, who wrote the screenplay for the film, it's based on her own experiences with the real Mr. Church, who the cook who appeared in her life when she was 4 years old, with whom she became close friends. Quote from McMartin: "He was like my father figure. He was my best friend. He was the reason I became a writer. He was the reason I survived childhood. He was everything to me." So there's already your change right there.
Yeah.
Because in the film she's 10, but in real life she was only 4. And I'm trying to look at it here. Apparently Samuel L. Jackson was supposed to play Mr. Church. And this film was in the works for over 10 years.
I could see that. He would have been fine.
Yeah. I could see Samuel L. Jackson. Now, you want to talk about a departure, because I don't think I've ever seen Samuel L. Jackson in a non kind of aggressive role. Like Nick Fury is his least aggressive verbally, but he still gets pretty aggressive in that.
Yeah.
I'm looking to see how much of what's in the movie was based on your own life and friendship with the real Mr. Church, how much was fictionalized.
Okay, so here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Church wasn't a real person.
Yeah.
I made him up.
Yeah. Well, apparently, yeah, basically there was a real life person who I based off of this guy. I just named him Mr. Church.
Yeah.
And that's that. Like, seriously.
This is common practice. But like this chick will be heralded as some sort of like great writer or something, which is fine. Like I'm sure she's great. But like remember when like Oprah took that dude to school over like A Million Little Pieces?
Yeah, I was just hearing something about that the other day too. Which
like
is funny.
This dude wrote this memoir that was like largely invented. And like who cares, right? Like, I mean, ultimately, like it's the reason that they put this like based on a true story or they call it a memoir or whatever is because nonfiction is the best selling genre on the planet.
Yeah. So here's the thing. So in real life, so Mr. Church came into her life when she was 4 in real life. Okay. Her mother did fall in love with a guy who had a family and a cook. Mr. Church was his cook.
Yeah.
Because the man fell in love with the mom, he left his family and brought into her life himself and the cook. Yeah. So he married her mom, and then he was a terrible person. They got divorced, but Mr. Church stayed with them. And he stayed with her until he died.
Mm-hmm.
And her mother did not die of cancer. She struggled with alcoholism. So her mom did survive cancer, not just for 6 years.
Yeah.
And the reason why she said she made that change is because she wanted to focus on the friendship between herself and Mr. Church. Now, as writers, okay, if you're writing a story about your life, if you wrote a book about it and then you decided to make it into a screenplay, are you going to change aspects of your life, or are you going to keep it as is?
Well, I would never write a screenplay of my life because my life's been pretty boring. And if I was asked to, then yeah, I would have to dial it up some because my shit is boring. Like I'm a basic white dude that has never really had to overcome anything. Like why would I? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
There's very little struggle in my life, and I'm lucky, right? Like I can acknowledge that, but at the same time, like who wants to watch that movie?
Yeah, all right. Well, I mean, but there might be some people that are just interested in Shane Wilson, the guy, the podcaster, the teacher.
Oh, right. Like if at the end of my life, or like if I'm older, they're like, we want to watch the biopic,
right?
Like, well, then get ready, like strap in for 2 hours of me sitting at a desk. Like,
Oh, come on. You're not going to do it like the Weird Al story, the Weird Shane story.
That's the only way to do it, right? That's also like not strictly a biopic, right? Like mine would definitely be based on a true story, right?
Right.
Like all of the breakups would be way worse. The alcoholism would be way worse. The drug use would be harder and for longer.
Yeah.
Shane,
Shane doing lines off of Ivy's back.
We're not off Ivy's back, unless you mean like the hooker that I named my dog after.
There you go. Oh, Ivy, you know, the way your hair goes, you look like this cute little puppy I saw once. What was her name? Lily, I think. Oh, man. Now, here's my thing. If I'm number one, if I'm going to write a memoir, I probably don't want to make it into a film.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to do that. I feel like I would definitely do people who want to get to know me better a disservice by like, instead of, because, you know, I mean, we've talked about it. I've had very, very, very close run-ins with gang life.
Right.
I was jumped by gang members. I wasn't jumped into a gang. I just had a bunch of bloods beat the shit out of me because I was there and I wasn't a blood.
Right.
This wasn't them jumping me into the gang, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I was just too dumb to stop hanging out with them after I got my ass kicked.
Yeah.
Okay, but in the movie, that's going to be written as, oh, he was jumped into a gang. Because then you're going to have that one person goes, yeah, once you get jumped into a gang, you're actually like in the gang. You don't just leave. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, if we're looking for ways to dial up my story to make it more interesting, well, that's why I'm writing The Concussion. Well, I'm taking a sabbatical from writing The Concussion.
Yeah.
But I'm writing it and I'm actually taking it to another level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but I mean, I kind of understand though, where she said that she didn't want to write a story about her mother's alcoholism. I'm like, all right, so you made Mr. Church an alcoholic.
Right.
You know? So I think what we have to do to really get a full scale of the story.
Like, instead of getting like the real version, we got the version where she, again, like made the black guy the alcoholic.
Right.
Like, why did she feel better doing that than exploring like her own mother's alcoholism, right?
Yeah, and Mr. Church helping her cope with her mother's alcoholism. Like, wouldn't that be a much better? And I mean, it's much ado about nothing. I'm sure in the memoir, she actually, you know, she gives the full scale everything.
Maybe, but it's maybe.
But in the movie, which is going to be seen by more people than are going to read this work.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I kind of feel like she kind of did. In her mind, in my mind, it almost feels like she really took a lot away from this guy. You know, she made him into this fictitious dude.
Yeah.
And that kind of like is kind of sad.
Yeah, it is. It is, in a way. But
I'm trying to see if I can find this book, and I'm having trouble finding it, which is not always.
Is it called Mr. Church as well? No, it's called. I saw it earlier.
It's the Cook Who Came to Live with Us.
Yes, what a great fucking title.
That is inventive.
Spoiler alert.
Like, why not just call it the Negro cook that came to live with us? Like,
and then spent 3 generations taking care of my family.
Right.
Also wasn't an alcoholic. That was my mom.
So I literally just put the Cook Who Came to Live with Us in on Amazon. And it is How to Live with a Huge Penis. Advice, meditation, wisdom for men who have too much.
Wait, what?
Yes. I'm not joking.
That's what came up when you no pun
that is one of that is the 4th thing to pop up on the Amazon search. How to Live with a Huge Penis.
I bet
Shane, are you going to be purchasing this book?
The author of that book also invented a few things.
Dick Jacob and Owen Thomas.
Based on a true story for sure. Well, the thing that I liked was that I had a penis. but I invented the girth and length for this particular story.
Okay, fair enough. Oh God, the crazy
I feel
things.
like Life with a Light Switch wasn't compelling enough.
Probably not. No. Now, what's
Good
terrible is
book copy.
this book came out this book came out in 2009. It's got over 3,000 freaking reviews, and it averages 5
You're
stars.
talking about Life with a Big Dick?
Yeah.
Can you read us some sample reviews?
Yeah, sure.
I love this part.
This is from Ray. 5 stars. This is from October 2022. Great gag gift. Everyone that has seen me with this book loves it. Great gag gift. Okay, so hopefully it's number 4 stars from Kenzie.
Great
This
gag gift
Yes,
because of the length and girth.
I guess so. Kenzie writes this a 4-star review. This is a great photo prop. As a trans woman, this has made a few eyes raise when taking photos in public.
Okay.
Stranger with a big iron on their hip leaves this 5-star review. Lowercase t, all uppercase. This book is amazing. This book is amazing. It helped me remove my excess penis length and remove my ED.
Wait, what is this book about? I'm starting to think that the title is misleading.
All right. Here's the synopsis.
Okay.
Is bigger really better? Here, at least, is the first self-help book for men with oversized male genitalia. OMG. A genetic birth defect that grows the penis to absurd proportions. Every year, thousands of men are diagnosed with OMG. Sadly, most are banished to the fringes of society.
Okay,
Victims
so
of
it's
their...
a joke. All right.
It's a joke.
Okay.
And the publisher is called Quirk Books.
Okay. Yeah, that's all.
Okay.
Can we look at some more titles from Quirk books?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Why not? Let's just go down the rabbit hole here for a second.
All right. Let me search Quirk Books. Quirk Books. Okay. Huh. Apparently there's a Ferris Bueller's Day Off storybook. Illustrated storybook. Okay, I don't think that's telling me what I want. I think that these dudes just sort of wrote this book and that's like a made-up publishing
That's their
house.
publisher, right?
That's their made-up. Oh, here we are. How to talk to your cat about gun safety.
Yeah, I've got their website here.
Okay. Images you should not masturbate to. Oh God! All I was looking for was the book about the black book.
Quirk spelled
Quirk.
Okay, so here we go. Dog's First Baby. I feel like some of these are real books, though.
Oh boy!
There's Ferris Bueller's Pet That Cat. Possums are not cute. Good shit. Your holistic guide to the best poop of your life. I wish I had a Wookiee and other poems for our galaxy.
Okay.
Some of these are real, but some of these are like
they're obviously fakers. They're faker bakers. I'm really trying to find this book, and it is like this is like me trying to
think it's a book. I think it's a story.
All right, so where can I read this story? Let me see. Where can I read?
Oh, Quirk Books are the people that published the William Shakespeare Star Wars books.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So apparently it's the cook who came to live with us, my best friend Herman and me. Okay, so it's a story here online. Is it? Okay.
I mean, I had something about it pulled up a minute ago. Hold on, let me see.
All right, this is odd. This is taking a very, very strange turn.
Which part? The podcast or
Yeah, the whole thing. Like, because first we're looking up books about big penises, and then quirky books, trying to find this story. And what really sort of gets me on that is, so where what why is the movie more out there than this book? Like, I don't get it. Like, why?
You're kind of
Like,
cranking up a little bit.
I'm cranking up a little. I'm sorry.
You're cranking down. No.
Oh,
You're clear now. Yeah, so this was on susanmcmartin.com,
mm-hmm.
but now it is no
Okay.
longer available.
All right. So I will send you a link here. I'll send you the link that I found. This looks really, really short.
Yeah, it's a
And
short
if
story.
it's
It's not a book.
now, what gets me though is, so how are you getting this? So basically, you wrote this real quick short story, and then you're like, I can make this into a script. I don't get it. Okay. Hey, listen, you do you. And
Now,
hey,
I don't know if this
Susan,
is the full story or not, but it
all I
seems
know is
like it was. This is weird.
this is very weird. And I feel really, really bad because I feel like this movie is way better than it's given credit for. It really is. Because
It's not bad, but it's not without its problems.
it's not with let's talk about some of the problems. Let's talk a little
Well, I
bit
mean,
about the
the problems
problems.
are the POV stuff, right? Like that's for my money the
I
big,
definitely have issue with the point of view.
because what we end up getting here is this like weird romanticized version of him, which doesn't do him any favors, right? Like he becomes less of a person, and I want more Herman Church, if that's his name, like
Yeah.
I don't want this like romanticized. I want the guy that like stumbles in the middle of the night drunk. Like let's get that story more than
Let's deal with his pain. Why is he getting drunk like he is? Why is he keeping his life separate the way he is?
right.
Now, granted, if she never knew, then okay, fine, fair enough.
Well, she's already taking liberties.
Yeah, you're already taking liberties, so come on.
Like also this I think is maybe where I'm frustrated by these kinds of stories,
Hmm.
is that the person whose story is the most interesting story is not afforded the opportunity to tell it.
Right.
Like
And
he has the opportunity to tell her
right,
story, but
right.
he's
He
not
could tell, yeah, he could easily tell her story, but
right,
she can't tell his.
right. And he is obvious. Well, if real Mr. Church was anything like the Mr. Church in the movie, he was well read, he was smart, he
Right.
was intelligent enough to write his story. He's just not either afforded the opportunity, or society's not letting him feel like he's allowed to, or whatever. But
And
the version of this story that I'm interested in is the one that starts at his front door and goes to the club. Like,
right.
not the one that starts, with this girl as a 10-year-old. Like, she's so basic.
And very snobbish. She is literally typical white girl movie number one. Nothing like she is so
Right.
cookie cutter.
And it's so like her centric, because in 1971, like this man was going through real shit, and all she was
Right.
worried about was a black dude cooking her dinner. Like,
Right. And making her read books.
right. And it's so like she could see the world to the tip of her nose, and that was the only experience that she had. And that's the only experience that she ever had, because she went to school with a bunch of white kids, and she went to college with a bunch of white kids, and she got knocked up by a white kid. And then like the only thing that the black guy did for her was take care of her when she needed it.
Right.
And
And the only thing she did for him was take care of him in like
through his
the
shit.
last couple of days.
Yeah, exactly. Like she finally took care of him. Like, couldn't even respect his one single rule.
Right. This dude took her in. She wasn't paying no damn bills. He takes her and her baby in. He
Dick
even had
Cannon had
he
already
even
the money had already run out of Dick Cannon.
right, exactly. And then he forgives her for breaking the one rule takes her back into the house, taking care of her baby. Who, oh man, McKenna Grace is so sweet. You know what? When I first watched Ghostbusters Afterlife, I kept saying, where did I see this little girl before? That's McKenna Grace. McKenna Grace plays Izzy. And she is such a sweet little, she's so sweet. Cute, so sweet. And I'll tell you what, she's way more interesting than her mom was.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I mean, it is like, I love Eddie Murphy in this. I mean, they're all good. It's just that the story is
It's the story. It's the story. And I think Eddie Murphy shines in spite of.
Take liberties, you know?
Oh, God. Mr. Church was actually in the CIA. And his father didn't agree with his career choice because his father was a career Marine Corps. And so his dad kicked him out.
Or hire yourself some sensitivity readers and actually explore Mr. Church's background.
There you go.
Like, I'm not saying that a white woman should write that part of his story alone, right? Like, bring people in to help you write that so that you can paint that picture. It's important.
And if you are going to tell this guy's story, write it from your perspective, and then maybe have someone write an addendum to it.
Well, and I think what would make that really compelling would be you would follow him out of the house. You would see what he goes through in the day-to-day, and then you would see him still make the conscious choice to come home and take care of her in spite of all of the hatred that he endures or whatever, right?
Right. The pain that he has, because the guy has a lot of pain.
For sure.
No one comes home ranting and raving like that.
No.
Without agony in their
Mr. Church, not how is Mr. Church.
Right. Right. We don't worry about how is Mr. Church until he has that cough that is just inconveniencing my day.
Sure.
That cough is sounding bad, Mr. Church.
Your cough is really getting in the way of me being a white woman.
Your black cough is getting very frustrating. And I mean, and the thing is, now granted, Charlie loves Mr. Church. Like, we're joking around.
Yeah, I don't have any doubt that she has great affection for Mr. Church.
But the problem is that the way that she is written.
Does she ever fully see him as a human person, or does she always only see him as the help?
Well, here's my thing. One thing that I will say in her defense, when she does try to get to know him, he does rebuff her. Because he wants to keep his lives separate.
That's
so
true.
I think maybe he preferred being seen as her caregiver.
That's fair.
If
that's his choice, then that's fine. That's his prerogative.
That's kind of the way that I'm seeing it. That's the way I want to see it. Because, she does, there is a really huge moment of contention between them when she goes, I just want to know you. And so that's kind of the way that I see it. We're making fun and because honestly, it's fun to do stuff like that.
Yeah.
But at the same token, because the one thing about this show that I've always prided myself and both of us on is that we can have these serious discussions. We can make the jokes for the things that are obviously there on face value, but we are both smart enough that we can, after making the joke, get under the surface to the real aspect. And I'm saying that for the people who may be coming to us for the first time.
Sure. I will say this about this film, and it goes back to the point that you made at the top, which is it's all problematic because it's all based on a true story, which means that this was a real man who we don't know, and there's a whole ass movie about him.
Right.
And his name is the namesake of the film.
Right.
Like, so Mr. Church gets lost in the whiteness of it all, like
he really does.
And it's that, like, don't you guys like really like me because like look how cool I was with this black dude, right? Like,
I had a black cook.
Right. Right. And I kept him for years.
I let me and my baby live in his black house.
And do you know he didn't even hurt us? Not even like.
Oh man, I'll tell you the truth. This movie does kind of come off with some Karen-esque vibes. Like she does have some future Karen vibes.
She definitely when she was a kid, and like she's made better for having been raised in a house with him.
Right.
But it's still, she still like only experiences the world through her own eyes, right?
Right.
Like when she's like, "Don't you want to know how it happened?" He's like, "Nah, bitch. Like I know how babies get made."
You know, that was too good right there. Well,
Right?
don't you want to know? No, I know how
No, I'm
babies
good. Thanks.
Dude, you know who's especially a Karen in this is her friend Poppy.
Mm.
Oh my God. You want to talk? My family's not in the picture. Let's not speak of this again. Bitch, I remember when you was on food stamps with me. You better take that bougie ass attitude out the door.
Yeah. Also, of all the places for that skateboarder to go,
Yeah, seriously. You know
of
what?
all the places,
Of all the places in that entire area, that's it. Let's just
and
happen
also, and here's another thing, right? It's like, now okay. I would really be interested to know if this happened in real life, right? Because if it did, then fine. But if not, then she just needed a way to move past the fight that they had. Like,
yeah.
and she invented some bullshit to make him feel bad.
Right. She just stepped in front of this skateboarder on purpose.
Right. Well, I don't think
is
that's what
this
happened. I just don't think that ever happened. Any of it.
right? Yeah, I don't want to victim
Based on a
blame.
true story.
Right. I'm not trying to
It makes
victim
it feel
blame.
like warm and fuzzy, but
Right.
it just rarely does that for me. It mostly just makes me like angry that I'm being blatantly lied to.
Yeah, couldn't you just have it where you had a couple of days living in your car and you go back to Mr. Church like
And
an adult
like,
and
why
apologize?
apologize instead of making him feel shitty?
Yeah, this dude got guilt tripped into bringing her back into his house. You've been going through my drawers, breaking the one rule. How do I know you ain't trying to take none of my money? Because you know your ass ain't got a job because you
Right.
living in your damn car.
Yeah. And she was in a hit and run with a skateboarder.
And a guy who is not allowed to drive anymore because he is a vehicular murderer.
Yeah.
Has to drive you to the hospital. So you've manipulated two people.
Yeah, and I also don't know that we needed that part. That we needed that like added drama of like him driving her to the hospital.
No.
Well, I mean that's fine, but like we didn't need the added drama of him like being like a vehicular manslaughterer.
Yeah, why not just have it? He's a dude that just rides the bus because he's afraid to drive.
Yeah. Or like also just let him have a car there. Like there's nothing lost if he has a car there.
Right. And I'm sorry, but if you accidentally kill someone as a juvenile driving drunk, isn't it when you turn 18, your records are sealed? Can't you get a license again?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a lawyer.
Neither am I.
Play one on TV sometimes.
Fair
But
I'm the black lawyer that cooks for white people.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm gonna write a story called "The Black Man That Co-Hosted a Podcast with Me."
Brian Tan was an interesting fellow.
I knew he was black because of the way that he wore a ball cap.
I noticed how uncomfortable I would feel whenever he would frown.
Often thankful for the distance between us.
When he lost his temper, his large black hands could not reach out and grab me.
Oh man.
Oh, shout out too, man. We got a Twilight alumnus in this film as well.
Oh yeah.
Owen, the most beautiful 10-year-old ever to exist on this planet or any planet, is played by Xavier Samuel, who was Riley Beers in Twilight Eclipse. You know, with the Bryce Dallas Howard version of Victoria.
You said so many words in that sentence. And they were all English, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, Twilight is a difficult film. It is a difficult film series. You know,
you just said a lot, like a long sentence, and I'm like, I don't know that I understood any of it, honestly.
You know what? I think for Shitty Movie Summer, we should do the entire Twilight
All
series.
Twilights? Yeah.
All Twilight Summer. Twilight Summer.
Oh, man. That would be fun.
You know what?
Could we do all the Twilights followed by all the 50 Shades of Grey?
You know, I've never watched the 50 Shades
I haven't
of Grey.
either. Should we?
Okay.
Did we just do our summer?
I think our summer is now locked in stone.
Oof, oh boy, it's gonna be
This
brutal.
summer is gonna hurt. This summer is gonna be like the worst case of herpes and hemorrhoids all at the same time.
Yeah, and also, should we? This would be such a fucking like nightmare scenario. Should we
Okay.
put all of those titles in a hat and draw them at random and watch them out of order?
Ah, Kevin McAllister moment. Yes,
We go
yes.
from like the third Twilight to the second 50 Shades of Grey to the to the first Twilight to the third 50 Shades of Grey.
Oh, that would be so great. You want to talk about what the fuck is going on here?
I would like. I mean, maybe that would be a lot of fun. Honestly,
I think that would be fun. The Plotaholics presents Shitty Soup.
shitty
Shit.
soup summer.
Shitty Soup Summer, Triple S.
Oh, okay. I'm for it. All right, put it down.
All right, I'm gonna make this note. Let me go to
right.
our Google Drive.
All right, I'm gonna start wrapping this thing up
Yeah,
here.
let's do that. You're a busy man.
Yeah.
I appreciate you taking time out of your day.
Yes, Mr. Church was made on an $8 million budget, and it made a whopping $685,000 at the box office. Womp womp. That's why there wasn't a Mr. Church 2. Also, he died.
Oh, Mr. Church too lost in New York, but he did.
Mr. Church returns. The Revenge of Mr. Church. Mr. Church and Robin.
Mr. Church takes Manhattan.
Mr. Church forever.
Mr. Church and the Cookmaster.
Oh, honestly, can we get a Mr. Church IP, like just a bunch of ridiculous sequels?
Oh, that would be so.
Genre.
Mr. Church and the terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day.
Mr. Church in the Multiverse of Madness.
Oh God, this would be the greatest IP ever.
Yeah.
But Mr. Church is actually kind of like Doctor Who, so he regenerates every other movie or so.
Yeah.
So we get Eddie Murphy for like 3 movies, and then we get Samuel L. Jackson for a couple. And then for whatever reason, we get like Nick Cannon, but like every white girl in the tri-state area is pregnant.
Yeah. And then in the 4th movie, there's like, we bring in like Chris Hemsworth. But then like all of the white dudes are pissed because they're like, Mr. Church is supposed to be black.
Oh, you hear he's taking a sabbatical from acting.
I did hear that. Yeah, that is sad.
Yeah, you know what? Because my mom is doing a lot of preventative measures against Alzheimer's and dementia. So I actually do sort of feel for Senior Hemsworth there.
I agree. And the Hemsworth clan. But let's see. Mr. Church sporting a 24% on the tomato meter, but that's based only on 33 reviews. The audience score is at 80% based on 2,500 reviews. All in all, not a very popular movie.
Unfortunately. I mean, I get it. I get why. For all the good, the pacing and the storytelling is
it's also just kind of like,
it's like a Hallmark movie.
Yeah, it is to Avatar. It is to Avatar, or it is to Driving Miss Daisy as Avatar is to Pocahontas or Dances with Smurfs or whatever.
It really is. Oh God. Like, I seriously, like, I wonder, could you just insert Morgan Freeman into this movie and no one notice? Because it's basically the same thing. The only difference is that Miss Daisy is like way younger and less Jewish. And they're not in the South.
Yeah. I don't know. Here's Bartender Smiley, though, to bring us on home.
The Plotaholics rating system for the movies is a pretty simple system. Basically, they rate movies based on how many shots it takes to get through them. So if you got a good movie and you get through it all the way sober, then it takes 0 shots to get through the movie. And then if you got a really bad movie, then it could take up to 5 shots to get through the whole thing. I think you can try to figure out the middle part yourself. So, what can I get you?
I don't know, man. Like you mentioned, the pacing is not great. The POV is a little bit wonky. I'll give this a 2, and the only thing that keeps it from sliding further is Eddie Murphy. Honestly, like, he's very, very good here. He's just not to like save the story, which is always because ultimately I am saying that the life of this woman didn't make a good movie. And I stand by that. Like, not everybody deserves to have a movie made about them, right? And if there's anybody in this
Yeah.
movie that does deserve to have a movie made about him, it's Mr. Church, and this movie's not about him.
Right. This is about Charlie.
Right.
It's all about Charlie. Charlie.
Yes.
You're absolutely right. Eddie Murphy makes this movie. If Eddie Murphy isn't in this movie, this is Wish.com or great value driving Miss Daisy.
Yeah.
Eddie Murphy makes this movie. This movie has life because of Eddie Murphy. And then for like the last like 20 minutes or so, McKenna Grace, because she is so cute and sweet and wonderful. And her sitting on that little swing in her little pink jeans talking to Eddie Murphy is just so cute. Other than that, this movie should be called Privileged White Girl Whines.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
There's an awful lot of whining in this movie, and the one person that actually does have the right to complain about certain things is Mr. Church. And again, he doesn't have a voice. He's just there to cook and take care of Charlie.
I would love to have heard him play the piano, like at the club. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. You know, I would love to see those glimpses into his life. And I'm sorry, granted, and lose me at this, it's based on a true story told from her perspective aspect. If you're already, fictionalizing your life, take it the full 9.
Can we write a movie called Miss Brooks, but make it all about him?
There you go. One day, my boss came up to me and said, Henry or Herman, whatever your name is today, in this universe, I want you to take care of my mistress and her daughter because she died. So I went to her house, and this little bitch was just annoying as all hell.
And can we get Eddie Murphy to play Mr. Church again? But can we get Morgan Freeman to narrate it?
There you go.
Morgan Freeman is the voice of Mr. Church.
And then I realized, if this little bitch don't eat this food that I cooked, I'm gonna dangle her ass out the window by her ankles, and she better hope that my arthritis don't seize.
Because I
want the aggressive Morgan Freeman.
I bet if you made this movie and completely flipped it like that and titled it Miss Brooks, that people would be so pissed about it.
Oh, absolutely.
This ain't even about her. Yeah, exactly. This ain't even about him.
Exactly. You just got Eddie Murphy's handsome, well-groomed mustache on a cover.
Right. The amount of this film that features him is not proportionate to the amount of the artwork that features him.
Exactly. And I'm sorry, man. I hope that when I'm his age, I can wear a hat and a mustache like Eddie Murphy, because I can't just wear a mustache like that. It don't look right. Yeah. So my rating for this is I'm going to give it the most loving 3 shot that I can give it.
Yeah.
I love this movie because of Eddie Murphy.
Right.
Eddie Murphy is the star of this.
Yeah. And this is better Eddie Murphy movies to watch.
There are better Eddie Murphy movies to watch, but I think via performance.
Yeah.
This is one of his best because he literally picks up this entire production.
It's true.
Puts it on his shoulders. And this is, another instance of, each movie that Eddie Murphy is in, he carries the vehicle.
Sure.
But this one it's like he's carrying 2 vehicles for the price of 1.
Yep. Well, that'll do it for Mr. Church, Mr. Tan. We will.
We have the same first name. All right.
We will be back next week with Stranger Than Fiction, the Will Ferrell vehicle. I'm very excited.
I'm very excited for this too. I feel like I went through the trials of Hercules to get to this.
Yeah, sure.
But I found it, and I'm gonna watch it. And wishing you, Shane, and the rest of the Wilson crew, and Michelle and Ivy and whatever the hell your cat's name is, because we never talk about your cat.
Yeah.
And Mama Wilson and Papa Wilson, all the happiest day of thanks possible.
Indeed.
What are you guys doing? Are you going to see your parents? Or?
It'll just be me and Michelle. Her mom will come over. Okay. And it's pretty low key, because I have to work until Wednesday, and then I just don't want to travel. So we usually see my family at Christmas.
Okay.
That makes sense. But it'll still be a good time. I get a couple of days off, have some good food.
Yeah.
kick it. I hope you and Sharon and everybody, also have a very happy day of thanks.
Thank you, thank you. We're driving down to Harrisonburg, Virginia, to Massanutten. It's kind of just a getaway for a couple of days to just sort of be someplace else.
Sure.
But I just took so Sharon went. She thought she was buying a smaller turkey, but it's just the turkey breast. And we've decided, that's perfect for just the two of us.
Yeah.
But we got a big old butterball in the freezer for Christmas because
Nice.
that bad boy going on the grill.
There you go. There you go. Excellent. All right. Well, we will see you folks next week for Stranger Than Fiction. Rate, review, subscribe, etc. Happy Thanksgiving. We'll see you next time.
Take care, everybody.
Take a trip with us to Nilbog. Just promise not to drink the goo. Oh my God! If you get sucked into the Matrix, we will send the phone for you.
Do you believe in fate?
But every movie has a plot hole, and every hole gets filled somehow. Whiskey, wine, or blue milk. Just don't cut me off right now. We're the Plotaholics, a breakfast club of two. We're the Plotaholics, ripping plots apart for you.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.